You know, shout out to Lamont Roach and his whole team, man. Hopefully we can run it back, for sure. Bring it back to New York. Let's do it again. Let's have a rematch back in New York. Let's do it again, baby.
I thought it was a good fight overall. Lamont, I always knew Lamont was, you know, he wasn't coming to lay down. I've been knowing Lamont since we was kids, so we came up in amateurs together.
GervontaDavis recently went on social media, saying he really wanted a rematch against Lamont Roach to prove himself. However, boxing experts have advised him not to do it because it could hurt his boxing record. For the first time in his career, Davis finished a fight without winning. Many in the boxing world believe the draw was a lucky break for him since he was the bigger name that night. Boxing fans weren't the only ones surprised by the result. He said he wasn't too surprised by how Roach Jr. performed since they grew up competing in the amateurs together. However, he was shocked when Davis took a knee in the 9th round, yet the referee, Steve Willis, didn't count it as a knockdown.
I knew Lamont was serious. He was coming in there to fight, but he did a lot better than.
Haney is set to return in a welterweight fight against former unified junior welterweight champion Jose Ramirez. In the 9th round of the fight between Roach Jr. and Davis, Roach Jr. appeared to land a punch, and moments later, Davis took a knee. He then went to his corner, where one of his cornermen wiped his face. Referee Steve Willis started to count, but then stopped and let the fight continue. If the rules had been strictly followed, Davis's undefeated record could have been...
I thought he would, and I thought he won the fight personally. Yeah, the no knockdown, that was like...
While the draw kept Davis's record intact, it wasn't the outcome he wanted. Meanwhile, Canelo Alvarez, who recently signed a 4-fight deal with His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh, sat down for an interview with Peter Rosenberg on Hot 97. They discussed his upcoming fights and new partnership, but Rosenberg also took the chance to ask about the controversial Marchwurst fight in Brooklyn. Did Davis take a knee?
I've ever seen it with my own 2 eyes, and yeah.
Yeah, you were, you've made some comments. I wanted to see the backflip, and I'm surprised Tank didn't say nothing back to you about that.
Hey, I was just speaking my opinion.
The 34-year-old also pointed out his corner went up and put the towel in his face. That's a disqualification for sure. According to boxing rules, if a fighter's corner steps in during a round without the referee's approval, it can lead to disqualification. So when Calvin Ford jumped in to wipe Tank's face, it could be considered outside interference. With 62 wins to his name, Canelo made it clear that his opinion wasn't about favoritism. It was about following the rules. I'm talking about the rules.
Did GervontaDavis take a knee, and should he have been deducted a point and in the end lost that fight to Roach, in your opinion?
Yeah, in my opinion, it was a draw.
World Boxing Association, WBA, President Gilberto Mendoza has told The Ring that he is ready to push for an immediate rematch between Davis and Roach. The WBA has the power to order Davis to fight Roach again, and if he refuses, he could lose his title. Davis also had a one-way rematch clause in his contract, which allows him to request an immediate rematch if he didn't win the fight. In the days after the controversial match, both fighters have expressed on social media
the knee, and plus the corner go up and put a towel in the face. That's a disqualification.
However, some boxing experts have warned Davis against taking a rematch. Almost everyone in the boxing community agrees that when Tank deliberately took a knee, referee Steve Willis should have ruled it a knockdown. If he had, Roach Jr. would have won that round 10-8. Instead, Willis didn't count it as a knockdown, and 2 judges scored the round 10-9 in favor of Davis. The fight ended in a majority draw, with 2 judges scoring it 114-114 and 1 judge, giving Davis a 115-113 win. If the knee had been ruled a...
I didn't know what round it was. Facts.
Tank Eric Blum from Daily Mail.
Davis still remains undefeated, but now his record includes a draw. However, a March 3rd post on X from Roach Jr. suggests he believes the result could be overturned. Word around the block, y'all, the fight is going to be 30-1. Not 30-0. Two-division champ, Roach Jr. wrote. Roach Jr. is expected to appeal the fight's outcome, specifically the missed knockdown call. His post suggests that he's been told an appeal could lead to the decision being overturned, giving him the win and Davis his first loss. Then again, he could just be stirring up controversy while the topic is still hot. Either way,
when you think about this decision and it being a draw, and you think about what happened in the 9th round, how frustrated are you that that wasn't counted as a knockdown?
Tank Davis explained that he briefly took a knee because he had grease in his eyes. However, that excuse may not hold up with boxing authorities, especially since Roach Jr.'s recent social media post suggests the fight result could be overturned. If that happens, it would be a huge moment in boxing. Many believe Roach was robbed of a shocking upset win due to a referee's mistake in the 9th round. Now, he has hinted on social media that Davis might lose his undefeated record. If Roach's post is true, this would be the biggest boxing story of 2025 so far. However, even if he is officially declared the winner, he might feel robbed of the chance to celebrate.
Man, I'm not. Honestly, I thought I should have won without that being counted.
International Boxing Hall of Fame inductee and former New York Athletic Commission head Randy Gordon has weighed in on the controversial fight between Davis and Roach, calling it one of the worst injustices in boxing history. Gordon took to social media, writing, "Tank went down on his own. It's still a knockdown. Then his corner jumped onto the ring apron. That's disqualification. Where's the problem? And the judges scored it a draw. Poor Lamont Roach got one of the worst shaftings in boxing history last night. I hope Roach appeals. He has a very good case." If someone with Gordon's experience believes Roach has a strong case, there's a real chance Davis could be handed a loss soon. Speaking to Boxing Gems, Hall of Fame fighter turned analyst Tim Bradley also weighed.
I ain't really, you know what I'm saying? Like, if he had to wipe sweat out his eye, he had to wipe sweat out his eye. But the rules do state, if you voluntarily take a knee, then that's an automatic 8 count.
The knee was crap, Bradley said. They made the rules up. Tank's the house fighter, but it should have been called a knockdown. You can't take a break like that. The only person who can stop the action is the referee, not the fighter. Tank basically told him, "Hey, I got something in my eye. I need to go to the corner so they can wipe it out." You don't get timeouts like that in boxing. That should have been a knockdown, period. Bradley then revealed that after watching the fight twice, he scored it for Roach.
Yeah, they made the rules up as, you know, of course, Tank the house fighter. They made the rules up. Yeah, that was bullshit. It should have been called a knockdown. You can't take a break like that. The only person that can do that is the...
Already went back and watched it. Tank Davis lost, Bradley said. I wasn't scoring it the first time around, people were asking. Me, who I thought won that round, and I said it was close or whatever because I was on my own live. But I went back and watched it, and damn, Tank lost that fight. Even without the knockdown, he lost. He just didn't do enough work. The old boxing axiom that says there are no timeouts in this unforgiving game usually applies to the fighters.
The referee can stop the action and say, "Hey, let me take you to the corner so they can wipe it out." You don't get timeouts like that in boxing, yo. So
Referee Steve Willis, as the boxing world knows by now, should have taken a point from Davis. Had that happened, Davis would have lost a split decision to Roach. This should serve as an invaluable lesson for Davis, who has become too accustomed to doing whatever he wants whenever he wants, despite the best efforts of professionals who've worked tirelessly to guide him toward behaving like the superstar his previous victories made him. This is professional prize fighting at the elite level. It's Davis's responsibility to understand what's allowed and, more importantly, what actions violate the rules of the sport. Focusing on anything other than the dangerous task at hand, like putting product in his hair or choreographed elaborate entrances, can be more...
I wasn't relying on that. I was relying on what I was doing in there. I think I was taking control. I think I was landing more shots. I think I was landing more power shots.
Just like Paulie Malignaggi, whose cutman Danny Milano transformed into an amateur barber between rounds during Malignaggi's 12-round split decision victory over Lovemore and Dew in May 2008, the Davis versus Roach fight ended in controversy after Roach's near upset. Milano's expertise in his corner helped Malignaggi see and perform better, allowing him to edge out the South African contender in their 12-round fight for Malignaggi's IBF junior welterweight title in Manchester, England. Davis's corner also assisted him, but the key difference here is that Ford's actions should have led to Davis's disqualification, according to New York State Athletic Commission guidelines.
I thought I was doing my thing, so I'm not really that frustrated about that. But if that was kind of knockdown, I would win the majority decision.
Baltimore's Davis acted the way he did because, once again, he became too comfortable doing whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted, without anyone holding him accountable. After the fight, Davis did accept responsibility for not knowing his actions weren't within the rules and for losing track of the rounds. His reasoning for not picking up the pace after giving away rounds early in the pay-per-view main event was still unclear. However, the first half of the 9th round will remain etched in the minds of those who were confused by how it was allowed to unfold. Enter referee Steve Willis, a part-time stand-up comedian who seemed more concerned with the optics of Davis disrespecting the rules of his sport than actually penalizing him for it.
Was it to get the towel out, to get the burn out of your eyes, or what was going on?
I didn't want to get caught. I didn't want to get caught while my eyes was burning. And you know, like, you can get knocked out like that, so I'd rather take the knee.
No one is suggesting anything shady happened between Davis and the referee, but a disqualification might have seemed unnecessary to a veteran referee officiating a highly competitive championship fight. However, it is the undeniable responsibility of the New York State Athletic Commission, NYSAC, which assigned Willis to officiate the 12-round, 135 lb title fight to address egregious errors made by its referees. NYSAC Executive Director Matt Dagliola was seated ringside for this Premier Boxing Champions event, and he should have been just as bothered by this preposterous situation as the rest of us. It is well within his rights, as head of the commission, to initiate an instant replay review.
You know, but I didn't really know that you can, like, get disqualified for all that. Or, like, when you start counting, I'm like, what the hell? But I don't know. It's cool.
Do you want that rematch next? And if so, how?
To my earlier point, while there are definitely no timeouts in boxing for the fighters themselves, there are, without a doubt, timeouts available to public officials responsible for maintaining the integrity of an event. Dagliola should have instructed the replay official, who was seated near a television monitor, to review Davis's behavior before the 10th round began. Had Dagliola exercised that right, Davis would have obviously lost a point and likely a split decision in a fight where the unbeaten WBA lightweight champion was an overwhelming 16-1 favorite to win. Instead, Roach was left with another draw on his record and the frustration of wondering what could have been or what should have been for the...
You know where to see that fight happen again this year?
I'm not sure, bro.
Roach's handlers should have questioned the commission as soon as the 9th round ended, if for no other reason than to inform Dagliola that they knew the replay mechanism was available and should have been used, as it could have impacted the outcome. And wow, did it ever. Had Dagliola or ProBox's Gary Jonas, Roach's promotional representative, done their jobs, Roach would have more leverage in future negotiations than the dubious draw now gives him. A victory over Davis would hold much more value in such tricky negotiations than a draw, especially since Davis wasn't punished for his blatant infractions. Davis and Roach drew on the cards of judges Glenn Feldman and Steve Weisfeld, both of whom scored the...
I'm definitely not sure, but hopefully we could get it before... Nah, it probably won't be this year.
Next, regardless of the outcome, this serves as a teachable moment for promoters as much as for officials and commissioners, especially those representing the B side in high-profile fights like Davis versus Roach. If you're seated in the corral the area between the ring and the first row of fans, make your presence known, even if it's only in the most professional and tactful way. If you're there to protect the interests of your fighter, then actually do that. Roach told Uncrowned that he is a promotional free agent, but he has a business partnership with Jonas, who also owns BoxingScene.com, an outlet that employed this writer part-time and then full-time from 2006.
You want next?
It's definitely the one I want next, but it's not gonna be next.